Hi, this is Steve Hefter, and I am here at the Annapolis Collection Gallery with the legendary original drummer for Black Sabbath, Mr. Bill Ward. Bill, thank you very much for sitting with me today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, I'm very excited to talk to you. Happy 66th birthday.
Thanks.
Yeah, and it's amazing that that you're here given the health issues that you've had recently.
Yes.
Yeah, you had what's called perforated diverticulitis.
Correct.
Yeah, and we had a little discussion before. We both know what that's like.
Yes.
And I'm really glad that you made it through that.
Yeah, we're both survivors.
Yeah. Behind you, and we can see that in the picture, are some of the collection, your art.
Mm-hmm.
And the title of the collection is Absence of Corners?
Yes, correct.
Can you explain the title? What that means?
Yes. Well, when it was time to look at what kind of the titles for all of the pictures, there was something that was I was kind of coming up with all kinds of different things, but there was one common thing, there was one common thread in all of these pictures that I found was not there. And at first I started using words like "not there" and "doesn't appear" or whatever, and I couldn't find the word, and I went, I know what the word is. There's an absence of something. And so I got the first part of it, and I realised there's an absence of corners. There's very few corners in any of these pictures. There's lots of swirls, there's lots of arcs, there's lots of hills and valleys and things like that. But there's an absence of corners. However, upon looking at it more carefully, you will see that through some of the photography that Ravi and Corey worked out from Scene 4, who the people I collaborated with on this.
Right.
You'll see some actual triangles, and you'll see some things that do show up. It's the way that the cameras are placed and the angles. So, but it's kind of fun stuff, because it's like in the children's books where you have to find the apple and you have to find where the clock is and where's the mouse climbing up the clock.
Yeah.
It's like that. So it's in these pictures as well. You can see, if you can see where some of the triangles are and some of the slopes. So when I originally looked at these pictures, and me having to wear really large lenses these days, when I was looking at them originally, my eyesight could only see that there was an absence of corners.
Okay. How long did the whole process take? I mean, before you were able to print?
It's been several months. Several months, because we did the initial shoot, then we waited for a few weeks, and then we did a further shoot.
Mm-hmm.
There was just some extra things that Corey wanted to get and Ravi wanted to get. But then came a period of time where we fell into what I like to call the collaboration of it. I'd been asked to perform drums or asked to play drums, so that was one part. But now I was actually working hands-on with the photos myself as well, and we came up with titles, and that took a while. Not only did we come up with titles, but we came up with a very almost self-revealing stories behind how the titles came about.
As an example, can you give me one?
Well, right there on the wall, right there. Unfortunately, we don't have it on camera.
Well, we can get it on camera.
The picture up there, Grief. It's looking right at me right now.
Oh, the black and white one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it in a few minutes. We'll take a little walk around, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that one scared the heck out of me. I don't know how that came about, and but we can talk about it.
Yeah, you can let me know what it meant to you when you were doing it.
It took a while to get all the titles and to look at everything, and look at the to see if everything was coming out of me the way that I felt it was revealing itself. It almost became like therapy to me.
Really?
Yeah.
So at some point you were able to tell, I'm going to do this particular move on the drums, and it's going to translate to the photos in this way.
It was the other way around actually. I played whatever came naturally to me. The guys just went, have at it. So I did have at it. I had a really good show. I had a really good
A session?
session. Thank you. I had a really good session, and for about an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes. And I just played anything. I went to some jazz. I played some real hard rock. Real fast music, whatever it might be. Played all kinds of riffs. It was afterwards, when I saw the pictures, that I started to realise I could recognise what was a hard rock passage, or I could recognise when I was playing jazz by just looking at the pictures.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to get triggered by what titles might be suitable.
Okay, well that makes sense. Yeah, they're beautiful, and we're going to take a walk through in a few minutes. You were supposed to give the show was supposed to happen last year.
Yes.
And this was before you got ill.
Yes.
And this is the first gallery show.
This is it, first one. Yes.
Yeah. Are you excited?
Yeah, I am. I feel really pleased to be here. For several reasons.
Yeah.
The biggest reason, of course, is that I'm still alive.
Yes.
So I'm very, very pleased. It's nice to be out from home and out from the studios, and just be in Annapolis today. I love it. I love Annapolis. It's nice to be here. It's very, very relaxing. It's very nice.
Yeah, you should have a good time meeting people today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I love shaking hands, and so it's very exciting having it's the first gallery. We had to postpone before. It felt absolutely terrible that we postponed.
But you're here now.
Wasn't a lot I could do about it, and we're here. But I'm here now.
But
so,
you're here now. Yeah. Well, it's nice to see that from a fan's perspective, that after all the issues and hoopla with Sabbath,
Yes.
that you were into something and you were finding something else that was of interest. And I was really happy to see that you had something, anything, that was interesting you that you were out there doing.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we've been working. I've been working on my own music as well, and I stayed. I stayed in a position where I had an open mind with Sabbath, even though there was a dispute going on. So I haven't, I haven't kind of gone, oh well, boo-hoo Sabbath, and let me take up art. There hasn't been a transition, anything like that. This is just something that happened. It was nice. It was. I think it just came out of the universe, and it's like, oh, do this and to pass the time of day and
Sort of a natural progression.
Yeah, see if this will help you.
Yeah.
As I was, get through some of the uncomfortable feelings that I'd had.
So, if we could transition to music for
Yes.
some of your early influences, drumming,
Yes.
were. Can you tell me who they were?
Gene Krupa right off the top. Gene Krupa was probably the most influential drummer in my life. It was Sing Sing that got me.
Did you have a chance to meet him?
No,
No?
not yet.
And
Maybe in heaven I will.
well, I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Buddy Rich also?
Buddy was a huge influence. When Buddy did Caravan, that was the big thing for me. I listened to that. I must have listened to it over 100, 150 times. I listened to all the sonics and all the timbres on his snare. There was so much to study.
And this was when in your life was this? How were you?
I
Were
was
very
14.
young?
Gene Krupa, I was probably 5 or 6 years old.
Okay.
But with Buddy, 14. I
Okay.
was 14 when I really could appreciate what he was playing.
And were you and Tony Iommi started a band? That was the first.
That was our first band. We were 16.
Was that called Mythology?
No, we were in. oh wow, we were in another band called The Rest,
Right.
and that's when we were 16, and that included Mike Pountney and Chris. Oh God, I've forgotten Chris's last name. He's the singer, and Vic Radford, who sadly passed away just recently.
And how did the four of you, Black Sabbath, come together? You and Tony, Geezer, and Ozzy.
That came after a while. I mean, we did the first apprenticeship was when we were 16, But a few years later, when Tony and I had been in the band from The Rest and a few other bands, we went to a band called Mythology, which was a blues kind of pop band, mostly blues stuff. It was a lot of the standard stuff that the British bands were playing back then.
Right.
Morning Dew. Everybody played Morning Dew, and so we were starting to play some John Mayall things, and and he was playing things from the American blues players. But it was around the time when we were about 18 years old that we fell in with Geezer and with Ozzy, and that's kind of how it worked out.
Yeah, you guys are widely credited with, being one of the, if not the band to start heavy metal music.
Well, no, we started loud music. Well, we didn't start loud music. The Who did.
Well, that's true, but it was a different type of music altogether. I've heard your music was called scary music.
We called it Downer Rock. The difference with our music was that there was a lyrical difference and a punctuation. It was a different punctuation to the lyric.
Mm-hmm.
So we played very uncompromising, very Sabbath, very uncompromising. Especially when we were talking about the early albums.
Yeah, the first album is a classic, iconic piece of work.
Really raw.
Yeah.
Really raw. Recorded it in 1969, I think, 1969.
And it's still as fresh today when you listen to it as when you made it.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
During, I've read lots of things about Black Sabbath, as most people have. And I heard Black Sabbath was prone to pranks.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, still are, I believe.
I also read that you were the receiver of some of those
I
pranks.
received a large quantity of pranks, yeah.
Tony was a little vicious, as I read it. Did he set your beard on fire one time?
Yeah, Ozzy and Tony took turns in setting my beard. It was a little party piece that we used to do.
Oh, did set each other on fire?
No. They would set my beard on fire. And it was just something that we do. It was just a silly thing.
Yeah.
We'd set it up as a prank.
You got hurt a few times, though.
On my leg. That got serious, that one did. I didn't roll out. I was drunk and I didn't roll out in time. It was a prank that we'd done before. But I didn't roll out quick enough. And we didn't get the fire out quick enough. And I was drunk, so I didn't take care of it. And the next day, it turned out to be pretty bad. So I got a huge telling off from my mother. And Tony got a huge telling off from my mother. And the sister in the hospital gave me a real hauling. We were in a British hospital.
That stuck with you?
Sister was not very happy at all.
And that stuck with you all these years? You can remember
Oh,
that conversation?
I can remember that instantly. It's still with me.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, there's been so much discussion about the latest incarnation of Black Sabbath, about the new album, the tour that was supposed to happen with you.
Yeah.
I, as a fan, was extremely excited to get a chance to see you again.
Yes.
And when that didn't happen, for me personally, and I know there's a whole group of Black Sabbath fans that said, we don't care, we're not going, and me included. I would really like to give you the opportunity to maybe dispel some of the myths. There's so many myths out there that it was Sharon Osbourne, that it was her fault, it was this fault, but I have you now.
I'd rather not say anything about what's happened and where we went. At some point, I may make a statement. There's nothing written in stone. I may make a statement, but another statement. I haven't said anything since. I've been very quiet about the whole thing. Other than the fact that I have been very, very sad. I can talk about. I'm not going to talk about them. I'm just going to talk about. If I talk about it all, I'll just talk about me. I've been very sad. It was a very very, very depressing thing to go through. I'm very sad for the. I'm still thinking about the little guy in Worcester that I wrote about in my original statement. 8 years old, and he wanted to come and see Black Sabbath play, and he wanted to come and see the drummer from Black Sabbath play. And so I still think about him.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'd rather me not go down
Yeah, I understand.
too many avenues. So,
No, I understand. Have you been able to at least sort of, put everything in perspective and move on from that?
I think I've got it very closely in perspective.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm living in reality,
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, I, along with thousands and thousands of other people, hope that, someday in the future, maybe.
Yeah, I've got an open mind. I've been very clear about where I'm at,
Mhm.
and that's really all I can talk about.
Well, I understand. Is there anything that you did with Sabbath, an album or a show or a set of shows or a tour that you're particularly proud of or that you stands out in your mind?
Oh.
I know there's been a lot.
Well, just even the last tour, I thought, I think the band's been playing better as it's been getting older. To be honest, that's how I frame it. The last tour, which I think was
Just
just
in
a few
98,
years ago, yeah.
98, 99, or
Oh,
was
no,
it?
no, no, it was, it was well into the 2000s.
Right.
I think it might have been 2005 or 2006. We did a tour of Europe and we did a tour of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I think we did some stuff up in Canada as
Mhm.
well. Went to a few other places around the world. And I thought that was a really, really great time. I really liked Prague, and I thought our concert in Prague was excellent.
And you were there in the 98, 99 reunion
Yes.
tour. That
Yeah.
was the first reunion.
The first reunion, I wasn't invited to, which upset me a great deal. And then I was invited to do the next one
Mhm.
after that.
And I saw that. And,
Yeah.
I was there here in Maryland, and it was unbelievable. Yeah, it was amazing. I really appreciate you taking a few minutes of your time to talk to me. If we could,
Yeah.
I'd like to maybe just have us walk through the photos. You could just tell me a little bit about each one of them, if you don't
I'd love
mind.
to.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so Bill, if you don't mind, if you could explain a little bit about some of these photos.
Well,
I'm sorry, these prints, canvases.
We can start with grief, and that's grief up here. And I had no idea that picture was behind me. I was up at Corey's and we were going through the canvases, and we were looking at all the artwork and what have you, and I felt a presence behind me, and I turned, and it was that picture, and it scared the heck out of me. It's absolutely scared me. And earlier we were talking about circumstances that have been going on the last couple of years, especially with Black Sabbath, and that would be the best way to describe how it's felt for me. Grief. That's exactly how it's felt for me. And it's the strangest of pictures because I don't know in what part of our drum session that came out of. I don't know. I look at it and I go, where did he come from? I can see these. I have a different different understanding of these pictures, but grief is just outstanding in terms of I think it's a very realistic look at severe pain and suffering. And that's not meant to be self-pitying. I'm not coming from self-pity. I'm not coming from any of those places of feeling sorry for myself or any of that other rubbish. Well, it's not actually rubbish, but anything like that. It's pure sadness.
Hmm. And some of these others?
Yeah, sure. That's my Arch of Doubt. Am I right on that? Yeah, it is. It's Arch of Doubt. And I love the picture. How the heck the guys managed to get that, I don't know. It's beyond me. All of the flurries and the swirls, I can see that there is a drummer inside there creating so much colour. But Arch of Doubt is... it came to me pretty quickly to call it that.
Which one of these is your favorite?
Probably that one right there. That's my... We talked about Gene Krupa earlier.
Yeah.
That's my Gene Krupa picture.
And you can tell by the picture you were playing jazz?
Jazz, that's definitely jazz, yeah. I'm playing jazz.
I like the ones where we can see your face.
That's for... Yes. That's for... that picture is dedicated to drummers in hardship. I'm not trying to be, rude to my fellow musicians, but that is a special dedication from me to my fellow drummers, whether they're 6 years old or 80 years old. It's called we focus and we persevere, and that's what we have to do. Sometimes we'll take hard knocks and sometimes we'll be pushed to the floor, but we get back up again and we have to persevere and we have to focus, and that's what we do as drummers. It's the nature of the beast.
Mm-hmm.
And drumming is our art, and that's me focusing and that's me persevering.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Bill. I appreciate you showing me the canvases,
Yes.
and I expect that you'll be hugely successful here in the next few days.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping we're going to meet some people. I'd like to say hello to everybody and see how they are, see how they're doing. How's your life,
Yeah. Well, I've had it's been an amazing experience to meet you, and I appreciate it. So
Very well.
thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.